I feel like I need to clarify. I'm not somebody that is afraid to say that genocide is wrong.
Why does he want praise for that? I don't know anyone that would come on the internet and say genocide is right. I mean, what kind of a disclaimer was that? Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ariana Jasmine, and today we're going to be reacting to a video that really encompasses who Twitch is and what Twitch does and how they're racist. But anyways, make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more videos like this, and let's get into it.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar, and so if you know that we have the Someordinarygamers subreddit, and one of the top posts was, stuff about Asmongold the last couple days. These were pretty highly viewed posts on my subreddit, and they were ones where it kind of dominated the entire community for a little bit. So obviously, it's one of those things where I kind of want to jump into it because the rabbit hole that I've went down has shown me just how wild and insane Twitch, if not the entire internet, is effectively becoming. So to give you an idea, Asmongold, a couple days ago, made some rather inflammatory statements that got his account banned for 14 days. Now, the statements in particular I'm going to play, and obviously I just want to preface, Zach Asmongold has pretty much walked these things back and, has apologized for it.
I would just like to point out that Asmongold was bullied into walking everything back, and he had to have a full-blown conversation live on stream with Hasan in order to walk those things back, so I wouldn't give him all the credit in the world. He's still a Neanderthal racist piece of shit, but I just thought that was important to note.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a They're terrible people. It's not even a question.
So to cut the whole clip off over here real quick, obviously this kind of inflamed individuals because Zach...
I like to think that I was also a little bit of the reason why he came out and apologized, because I did kind of bully him on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie to you. Am I proud of it? Yes. I am. I'm actually very proud of it. I don't even care what anyone has to say. Like, I'm proud of bullying him. I think he deserved it. So I made this tweet. I was like, this racist piece of shit, Asmongold, went on Twitch live stream and said that Palestinian people are inferior. They aren't the same as us, and they have an inferior culture. Twitch support. Why is he not banned? And then I also tweeted this. I was like, dude lives like a full-blown Neanderthal and wants to claim that he's superior. I'm sorry. How do you have the gall to claim that you are the superior race when your room allegedly looks like this? You have so many big gulp cups in there. You probably have liver and kidney problems. I don't understand the chips and just the crusty, dusty blanket. Like, this is a biohazard at this point. This is literally a biohazard. I mean, imagine you're a girl and some guy invites you to his room and it looks like this. Like, what the hell? That you basically just got fucking chlamydia just from looking at this room. Holy shit. Not to STD shame, okay? Go get tested. It's okay if you do have chlamydia. It's very treatable. There's something wrong with me today. I'm so sorry. Anyways, I like to give myself a little bit of credit for all the hate Asmongold got.
Zach was referring to Muslims, specifically from what I understand, Palestinians at the time, when asked to talk about a conflict like this. Now, obviously, Zach was one of those people that said, weird as fuck to see many people coming out with statements about this conflict as if they need to comment on it. Can we stop this weird culture around expecting people with no relevant backgrounds or educations to talk about world events / politics? And I actually agree 100% on that.
Honestly, I respect that, because when Ukraine first invaded Russia, I tried to make content on it, and then I realized I was way over my head and I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. But when it comes to Middle Eastern politics, for example, I'm very educated in that. Like, I can talk about Middle Eastern geopolitics very well. Even though I'm a political commentator, I know when to stay in my lane. You know what I mean? That's so important to do, because I feel like Americans just feel so comfortable commenting on shit they don't know anything about, and it's actually one of the most annoying things about our society.
So obviously Asmongold walked it back, apologized, and said, my bad. Of course, no one deserves to have their life destroyed, even if they do things or have views I find regressive. So in this situation, one could, if they were to extend the charitability, could say that Asmongold was probably referring to extremists in the Islamic religion and their view on people in the LGBTQ camp, all right? As you all know, religious fundamentalists, whether you're in Islam or any religion, probably don't take too kindly to people that are gay, and that's probably what Asmongold was going for. Now, obviously, his idea of conflating this was probably not the smartest way to handle the situation, and that's pretty much how the situation ended up going. Now, he earned himself a 14-day ban, and what this did was basically show people that, hey, listen, this is wild stuff being said. This is some insane shit going on Twitch. But down the road on Twitch, there were plenty of other commentators known as Hasan Piker, and a few people in the politics sphere that basically showed that there is kind of a double standard in how Twitch enforces its actual, TOS. So a couple, days ago, if not a day ago, it turned out that Twitch was apparently banning accounts from Israel from actually signing up. When making an account from Israel on Twitch, it apparently ended up being where Twitch provided one error into its site code where it said, "Oops, we encountered an unexpected error. 2023 was the error code, and the code was blocked country IP." So this apparently ended up being addressed by Twitch. This was brought forward by Destiny and his co-host on his podcast, where they basically said, we wanted to...
Destiny is literally a raging Zionist. That man needs help. He went on debates with Norman Finkelstein and he got absolutely destroyed for his life. Norman was like, listen, if you're gonna read Wikipedia pages, get the fuck out of my face, basically. But I wouldn't really listen to anything Destiny has to say and take it seriously. You know what I mean? I don't know. He's not a good person.
Address concerns we've seen about whether we're preventing Twitch account signups in some regions. When signing up for a Twitch account, you can select an account verification method, email or phone, for added protection. Following the October 7, 2023 attacks, we temporarily disabled signups with email verification in Israel and Palestine. Now, obviously, wild stuff indeed. But why did they do it? We did this to prevent uploads of graphic material related to the attack and to protect the safety of users. It's interesting how the site specifically picked this geolocated region in specific, especially when this wasn't enacted during Ukraine and Russia, or really any country that is still currently actively at war right now as we speak, okay?
So what's interesting about this statement, and something that a chatter said as well, is that it says right here, we temporarily disabled signups with email verification in Israel and Palestine. So when people like Ethan Klein or Destiny go on their Twitter or YouTube and they're like, oh my god, they're banning Israeli people from going on Twitch, they're literally leaving the fact that Palestinians couldn't sign up for Twitch either. So I know you're trying to make it sound really nefarious, but it's not really that nefarious. The countries are both at war. Twitch decided to ban both of them. Do I agree with that decision? It doesn't matter if I agree or not. That's the decision they made.
But to give you an idea, this was not like a VPN block or something of that nature. This was actual written into code, a geo-block of an entire region. So why would Twitch decide to ban Israel of all countries, especially after all of this has happened, from producing accounts and signing up to their service? It just doesn't make any sense. Well, since then, a fair amount of clips have come out that have addressed some individuals on Twitch promoting some rather wild thoughts. So we're going to go down the clip rampage and just go through some of the wildest shit people have been digging out from Twitch. Now, CEO Dan Clancy comes out and says, we just posted an explanation of what happened. We're very sorry about the oversight. It only came to our attention today. As mentioned in the tweet, it did not affect people using mobile phone verification. Now, what's really interesting about this whole situation is when somebody like Dan Clancy says, oh, wow, we just found it out now. There was actually a small movement known as Baluat Twitch from actual Israeli content creators where they actually brought the situation up. They dug into the inspect element, they dug into the console for their web browser, and right over here it said it gave the same thing, error 2023, blocked country IP. So when people started to email them around, right, Twitch support was like, hey, I'm really sorry that you're having issues creating an account. We reviewed your case thoroughly and confirmed, unfortunately, you are not eligible to create a Twitch account. So nowhere did they say use a cell phone number, not an email. That wasn't brought up. And then, of course, the further you dig out into it, one of the receipts that I saw posted was one from the Twitch user voice, where apparently a certain idea was deleted. That idea in particular was in response to you can't create an account in the region of Israel or Palestine. So again, it's a geo-block, it seems, of the area, allegedly. I agree. We're also people. You cannot make us not watch our favorite streamers just because we are from Israel-Palestine. So, insane shit to be fucking seeing. You know, at one point, you get this piece of shit CEO that comes out and tells you, yeah, we only found out about it. I mean, again, it's just a blatant lie.
I don't understand when companies do this because they just assume that people are stupid and people aren't going to figure it out. But, you know, your average 10-year-old knows computer software now. So I don't really know what they were thinking with this. Also, having the CEO come out with a tweet and just talking out of his ass, I mean, not really great public relations strategy either. So I don't know if they thought they were untouchable or this was not really easy to see, because it apparently seems like even the most basic person that's educated in software engineering would know how to check this. So, I mean, if they were really going to block two countries with its totality, they should have just owned it.
Honestly, if you really think about it, this rule actually hurt Gazans more than it ever would have hurt Israelis, because as geoblock, if it targeted that region, you know, if you wanted to allow people to document and live stream the real atrocities that are occurring to them in that region, you know, Palestinians could have used a platform to showcase themselves. In reality, it shows how borderline, like, it shows how stupid Twitch can be. In them trying to, I guess, protect people, they inadvertently limited people's, like, ability to express and produce content that could actually be eye-opening to a lot of people who don't know about the situation beyond what they read on the internet and through their feeds. But Dan Clancy is somebody that literally allows this site to foster some of the wildest shit you'll ever hear. Now, there's a website known as danclancysucks.com, where it goes through a treasure trove of some of the most popular streamers on the site. One of the most popular political streamer, Hasan Piker, and of course several of his, like, you know, people in his camp, like Frogan, or really any of these other, like, political people, these political slop creators. Now, I would say that in terms of political content creators, the kind of stuff and clips that I've heard are some of the most inflammatory shit that I have seen, and it comes from people that really have no understanding about what they're talking about. But Twitch has allowed a platform where you can just say whatever you want to say with no actual repercussion, provided your politics are on their side.
I will say, I think that Twitch got really scared when, you know, Ethan and his mob, or Ethan tried to send his mob, right? I think Ethan's lost his mob effectively. But I think they got really scared when they were like, oh my God, they're anti-Semitic. They blocked Israeli people. And instead of Dan Clancy coming out and saying, yeah, we blocked both of them because they're both in a region of war and we don't want them streaming things that are super hyper political or things that could be harmful for people to see, like dead bodies and shit, Dan Clancy came out and he was like, sorry, you're stupid. You didn't try to sign up through the web. It would have worked if you did it on your phone or through your number. Sorry about that. Just own up to it. Just say, yeah, they're both in a region of war and I don't want them streaming some shit that's, like, you know, possibly going to scar people for life. I mean, it's not that hard.
For instance, according to Twitch and their community guidelines, if you go down to, actual civility and respect, hateful conduct, Twitch aims to be a place where everyone can come together and share community experiences. So what they say is Twitch does not permit behavior that is motivated by hatred, prejudice, or intolerance, including behavior that promotes or encourages discrimination, denigration, harassment, or violence based on the following protected characteristics. So those characteristics are race, ethnicity, color, caste, national origins, immigration status, religion, sex, gender, gender identity, orientation, disability, serious medical condition, and veteran status. So, because Twitch said, oh, we like to enforce our shit very equally, listen to what one of Twitch's political streamers has to say. This is Frogan coming at you with the dumbest shit that I've heard in a while.
I have no pity at all for any soldiers.
Okay, I just want to make something very clear. I want to be very transparent. Frogan and I are friends. We're mutuals. We've talked before. So I just want to make that very clear before I make this commentary. Number one, Frogan is not a political Twitch streamer. She was Hasan's mod. She started streaming. Her specialty is in public health, but she streams random shit. Like, she streams shows and stuff like that. She's not a political commentator. Does she talk about politics here and there? Yes. It's not her niche, though. Second of all, I think what we need to understand here is that this is is not comparable to Asmongold because Asmongold is a white man talking about how Sharia law makes it okay for Palestinian people to get mass murdered in a genocide. Frogan is from Lebanon, a country who has been in and out of war for decades now and has been severely impacted by American colonialism, but also has been severely impacted by the impacts of what Israel has done as a result of an extension of American colonialism or imperialism, excuse me. So do I agree with what she's saying in this video? No. I think there's a lot of nuance to American veterans. I think most of them don't even understand what they're doing when they sign up. You know, the American military is very predatory. I think they go after people who are, you know, in lower income zip codes, who are probably kids who really want to go to college. They don't have the money. They prey on really young kids that don't know what they're signing up for and want an opportunity to have an education and have a good life. Obviously, there's exceptions to that. There are people who join the military because their dad was in the military or they know what's going on. They want to go and do whatever to Middle Eastern people. I get it. There's exceptions to that. But for the most part, I think a lot of people who join the military do not know what the hell they're signing up for. Especially after 9/11, I think a lot of veterans believed that they were going to protect American sovereignty and that the war on terror was really coming to America. I think a lot of them now agree that it was pretty fucking stupid, you know, our occupation in Afghanistan and Iraq, and it really did nothing. It's one of those things where, do I agree with this video? No, but I do think this person who made this video is leaving out a lot of that nuance, because this isn't just like a white man coming on here talking some BS on Sharia law and saying that it's okay to genocide people because they're Muslim, right? I think that there's more nuance and context to what she said here, but once again, it's not something I would say. Like, I don't co-sign it. I just think that that nuance needs to be said as well.
I will never have any pity for any soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD. I do, the ones I'm like whatever about the U.S. soldiers are the ones that like acknowledge that like what they did was wrong. They didn't know back then. Whatever. You're a good person in my book. I'm like a Tom. Thank you so much for the 10 gifted. So the U.S. military that are like, yeah, like, you know, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong. Like, I'm changed. Like, imperialism. This, you don't deserve the PTSD. But like any other motherfucker, you're joining them. You're like, oh my god, I want my Camaro, no student loans. Fuck you. I hope you get PTSD, and I hope you get no health insurance when you get back in America.
Oh, how out of touch do you gotta be? How privileged do you gotta be to sit there on your ass in California and just badmouth the people that take a bullet for your freedoms every single day? The most outrageous shit you'll ever hear. Like, downright, you know, just hateful rhetoric. Now, obviously, you know, the people who are in the military were like, whoa, we're getting that Camaro. I have never in a million years met somebody, and I've met plenty of friends, you know, friends who are actually active military, people that are retired military at this point. They've done their careers. You know, people that have played video games who've told me about their stories. Never once have I ever heard people jump into the army for that free, juicy Camaro. Ooh. Maybe the student loans, and as somebody that, you know, at the time, financially speaking, I needed money for school, I probably would have joined the Canadian Air Force, you know, out of a patriotic duty, but also because, you know, you sign a bond with them, you work in the military, you get your school paid for, you know, good schooling, and that's kind of how things, you know, go. It's a deal you end up making. I think a lot of people that join the military who are these cogs in the machine that you'd be so willing to say, yeah, I hope you get PTSD if you're not, you know, this reformed person that, you know, has to bend the knee constantly because of your service to your country. Yeah, I think those people are usually in the military out of necessity, or, you know, at some point they need a career. They need to join something. And the military is a great provider of it.
Okay, all right. This guy's starting to fucking babble. Do American soldiers go and take a bullet for our freedom? No. We occupy countries. The war on terror was bullshit. The Vietnam War was bullshit. Almost every single war that we've started has been bullshit. More than hundreds and thousands of Iraqis and Syrians and Yemenis, Afghans have been murdered in cold blood due to American imperialism. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about going on some, they took a bullet for your freedom. Yeah, I don't really know what he's talking talking about. In the beginning, he said he doesn't know shit about politics. I'm glad he made that disclaimer because it's really showing.
You know, they do a lot more than just this imperialism that she, you know, likes to throw around. You know, there is very valid criticisms you can make of the U.S. military, but I think going after the cogs in the machine, the people that are the grunts, the foot soldiers, is just insane. This kind of rhetoric doesn't really bring anyone together. If anything, all it does is just sow more discord and, you know, sow more issues amongst people who are already facing a lot of issues right now, people who are already so divided. It's just hateful shit that she's spouting, and realistically, it just comes from this very one-sided view of the army, or really your country. You know, it feels like a lot of the extreme leftists on the internet have literally just amounted to their policy being America bad. And
he's sitting here talking about how Frogan's image is one-sided and she's just an angry online leftist, right? First of all, Frogan is a Lebanese woman. Lebanon has been in and out of consistent wars for more than a decade now. Ever since I was a kid, Lebanon was in wars. I have a Lebanese friend who lived in Lebanon that literally had to get evacuated in American military planes because Lebanon was getting carpet bombed. So you're telling a Lebanese woman whose country has been impacted by having to take hundreds and thousands of displaced Palestinian people, whose country has dozens of refugee camps across the nation that they have to pay for because of American and Israeli occupation and imperialism. You're telling a Lebanese woman whose family has been getting carpet bombed in Lebanon for decades now. You're telling her that her viewpoint is stupid and one-sided and she's just an online leftist. You are clearly seeing that she is a hijabi Lebanese woman on your screen, and you're negating all of those facts, and you're going on some babbling tangent as some random Canadian on the internet. Dude, take a step back. Actually, take 10 steps back. Here's the thing. Politics, and this is something that I preach all the time, politics is not black and white. There is nuance in all kinds of politics because every single person has their lived experience, and their political outlook, their political opinions is based on the lived experiences that they have gone through, okay? You cannot sit here and judge someone for having a political opinion that you do not agree with and just simply summarize it down to just her being an angry leftist online that just talks shit and doesn't give solutions. Because Frogan, if he did a little bit more research, he would have noticed that on Twitter, Frogan has opened up countless of times of how her family had to survive multiple bombings in Lebanon, how her family in Lebanon is suffering, how Lebanon has been impacted directly. And instead of genuinely looking into her and saying, hey, I vehemently disagree with her because of these facts, but I do recognize that she's Lebanese and she has been directly impacted by American imperialism and Israeli occupation. But instead, you're sitting here, you're putting on some B-roll of some dumb fucking video game, going on some fucking basement dweller tangent. At some point, you gotta understand, like, some people are just not built for political commentary, and that's fine.
on a side note, I also love how these people talk about getting universal health care for people, which is genuinely a cool thing to see people actually, you know, live and not be indebted to the medical industry of the United States because they happen to get sick or go through something serious. No, your medical rights are only really present as long as you share your political views with us. I mean, how fucking backwards, out of touch bullshit is this when you got to hear it, right? It's like, I hope you get PTSD and I hope America doesn't pay for your medical stuff.
Either way, if we have Medicare for all or Medicaid for all, we could abolish the VA because the VA sucks anyway. So can we just acknowledge how much time he spent on Frogan and what she said and how he kind of glossed over what Asmongold said, even though Asmongold said that genociding a group of people is fine because they're Muslim.
One thing that really came out wild was this TwitchCon sponsored event. Now, this is 3 weeks ago, so this is very recent. Like, this is, again, very much in Twitch's line. And if you actually watch the content over here, you'll see that they're pretty much sponsored by Chevron, okay, Samsung, Capcom. They got some pretty big sponsors right over here, insane stuff.
They're sponsored by Chevron.
You can see that Arab streamers S, Hasan Piker, funny, the Turkish guy is on the Arab list, all right. Then you've got like AB, the actual Arabs, and then of course on the F tier, this is where it gets interesting. You've got Ethan Klein and Ben Shapipo. So at this point, we reach like, all right, S is good, S is good tier, A and B are not as good as S, but it's there. F tier, that tier just gives me the heebie-jeebies. The Jews? Ooh, boy, oh boy. So when you actually watch the clip and you look at this tier list that they're doing, it's insane because like at the top, they've got the Arab, They've got Arab coded. They've got asked perms, things it's a slur, and then the words love Sabra. Now, Sabra apparently in their eyes is like they're referring to like a brand of hummus that exists in Israel that is basically in part of a boycott. Now, Sabra also translates to Israeli Jew or Jew born in Israel. So realistically, you know, if we're gonna use the terminology that these people politically like to use, this is what we consider a dog whistle, okay? Because in reality, this is what they're actually going for. I mean, the thumbnail that I showed you, and again, these are the same people that judged me based on the thumbnail that I used for like the Keffels video. So to give you a quick idea to understand, putting two Jews in the F tier kind of gives you an idea of like where they're at. Arab being at the top, Jew being at the bottom, okay? See, I can look at this and immediately understand that this is most definitely designed to be hateful rhetoric, right? Like, no matter how you want to cut and...
So first of all, let's go into the meaning of Sabra, because I know this fucking idiot likes to source Wikipedia, which is quite literally the worst place you can source your information. That's basically third grader knowledge on journalism, but you know, he did say that his specialty was not this, and it's really reeking in his fucking video. So in Jewish culture, the term Sabra refers to a Jew born in Israel or Ottoman or Mandatory Palestine. The term is derived from Hebrew word tazabar, which refers to the prickly pear cactus, a dessert plant that is tough on the outside but soft on the inside. So you may be wondering, where did this term Sabra, like, has this been a term forever? Has this been a term in Hebrew for a long time? No, the term became prominent during the early 20th century when Jewish people were migrating to Palestine. By 2015, about 3/4 of Israeli Jews were Sabras. The term Sabra can also be referred to as a cultural unit rather than a biological one. This definition is based on affiliation with Hebrew Zionist education system in Palestine rather than country of birth. So it's really interesting that he's taking a Hebrew word that was rooted out of the belief of Zionist occupation, a word that literally was created for Zionist Jewish people who currently live in Israel. They invented this word in this century so that they could justify their crazy occupation. And he did a simple Wikipedia search and he said Sabra equals Jew bad. This guy is such an idiot. I'm sorry. I just cannot. I cannot. Sabra does not equal Jew bad. Okay. Sabra is a term that they use for people who go to Israel and identify as Israeli. Literally, it's a word to refer to occupiers. I mean, it's really not, you know, crazy. But also, going beyond that, that panel was featuring Sabra hummus. Any Middle Eastern person knows that Sabra hummus tastes like cement. It has the consistency of cement. It tastes like ass. None of us claim it. The sales of Sabra hummus went so low that Strauss Co., they owned 50% of Sabra hummus. They gave it back to PepsiCo. They sold all those shares back to PepsiCo because they were like, these sales are ass. We want nothing to do with this company. When the Israeli owner of Sabra themselves is dropping Sabra because Sabra tastes like shit and the sales are shit, you are out here on the internet saying that, oh, how dare these people rate Sabra hummus so terribly when the Israeli owner of Sabra hummus is dropping Sabra hummus. Brother, do you understand how it literally doesn't make any sense?
If I had done this, or anybody had done this, or people who are opposed politically to these people would do it, they would say that this is hateful conduct. This is literally hateful conduct occurring on the platform. Now, will Twitch punish the accounts responsible for that kind of display of idiocy on the platform? No. You know, will Twitch do any? No. They basically won't. Now, I want to shift attention to Twitch's biggest political streamer, Hasan Piker. Now, Hasan, in the last, I want to say a couple of weeks, has basically been exposing people to wild shit. Now, if you watch, some of his streams, he's sitting with another actual streamer, and when you watch it, he's literally walking away and, playing literal, terror propaganda, actual terror, music videos. And it's not even just that. It gets to a point where, imagine being a political streamer, and you bring a actual pirate, a actual criminal onto your streams. And instead of, being respectful and being a proper journalist, you get on your knees and suck their dick for about 32 minutes. Watch this clip.
They went over the crews on these ships, and they like win them over with their charm, and they make them hate America and the U.S. government.
That's so funny. Think about China. Does he know anything about China?
He's saying he hasn't spent much time with Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he did qat with them, and he danced some music with them, and he was vibing. So he likes him. Yeah.
So I mean, what? That's so crazy. So they're just fucking chilling with the captains. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that we're talking about somebody that has been taken hostage who, quote unquote, is being chilled with. And again, this is just right on Twitch.
Okay. Yemeni Houthi, are they technically a terrorist organization designated by the US? Yes. But at the same time, in my opinion, the IDF is also a terrorist organization, and America has not recognized them as a terrorist organization. Okay, that's number one. Number two, he's a teenager. He's not even 20. He grew up under America's drones his whole entire life. I'm not saying I agree or I disagree with the Yemeni Houthis, but if I was also raised watching my whole entire family get bombed, I would probably want to join a force to fight against that so that I can save my family and country. I don't think that's a very crazy concept. Even people in America after 9/11 felt like the civic duty to go and serve their country because they felt like the 9/11 war on terror was coming to America, right? When something happens to your country and you feel patriotic, you will do whatever you need to do to go fight for your country. Do I agree with American military? No, they went and they occupied Iraq and Afghanistan, but for the people that joined the military in that moment, it was justified to them because they were going to fight for their country and against the war on terror propaganda. So how are you going to go on this whole entire tangent about how the US military is this and is that, and how dare you say anything bad about the US military, but then you're going to look at a Yemeni Houthi, a little brown boy that's not even 20, and say, oh, this is a terrorist, Hasan platformed a terrorist. You're showing a lot of empathy towards people who are in the military, who are in Western countries, and yet you are not showing that same empathy towards people who are in developing countries who are also doing what they believe is fighting for their country.
So America's like blowing them up while they're just like doing cat and fucking chilling with the captains. Like, how does he feel about that? Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't know how to describe.
Now, these clips were seen 8 months ago on Willie Mack's channel, but you can watch this video right now. Hasan will sit there and hypebeast these people without any care in the world. Like, this man does not critically apply any form of journalism. He is just showing these people and promoting them in this incredibly positive light when there are actually just pirates and terrorists who are putting people in harm's way, especially people that have nothing to do with the Israeli conflict in general.
Just to be clear, Hasan isn't a journalist. He never claimed to be a journalist. Hasan is a political commentator, and he's always made that distinction. He has never called himself a journalist. So to hold Hasan Piker to journalistic standards is it's not fair, because Hasan is not a journalist and he's never claimed to be a journalist. But second of all, which is something that's even more important, journalists very regularly go and interview people who are not a part of what we deem as people within that are regular in our society. For example, there are a lot of journalists that have interviewed the Taliban. Does a woman like the Taliban? No, but they're going to go interview the Taliban because it's a part of their job, right? So once again, it's a very weird double standard, and I actually have the right to talk about this because I have a journalism degree and I used to intern at NBC, and I actually have real life experience in newsrooms. I've met very esteemed journalists in my lifetime, and so I actually have that experience as well firsthand. So for someone like him to just be throwing this word journalist out left and right and not really understand that journalists also go into, war zones and interview people who are maybe not, a part of our society or people that we deem, that we don't know much about, like, that's very normal. It's a part of being a journalism. It's a part of being a journalist.
He brings this kid on and basically, talks about One Piece, they have a whole, gag and everything. And the thing about this kid is, obviously, if you know him, this guy is an influencer called Timothy Chalamet. Okay, so the Houthi movement, basically a movement where, again, this kid is part of a piracy organization where you can see him literally on actual captured vessels. It's not something that's a hidden secret. He brought this guy on and basically popularized him. Now, before people in the Hasan camp go, but Muda, this kid has seen only suffering his entire life. So obviously, he's going to be part of these situations. And, you're being a little bit harsh. Now, I am one of those people that is empathetic towards individuals, and obviously if this kid has only ever seen death and destruction in his entire life because of the Saudi-Yemen conflict, then yes, I can understand why they would do such a thing, but never in a million years should you as a content creator or a journalist, I guess, or a political commentator ever bring somebody on and kind of popularize these things, okay? These people are ultimately part of a criminal operation, an enterprise, a terrorist movement that shouldn't be glorified. And it's not similar to interviewing like bin Laden back in 1997 with CNN. These are situations where even back then, these were interviews done respectfully, and it wasn't in a way to glorify anybody who was part of a seriously criminal operation that isn't designated just by one country, but by a consortium of countries, even countries that are diametrically opposed to each other, politically.
First of all, this Yemeni kid was going viral all over TikTok and everywhere. Like, whether he was on Hasan's stream or not, it wouldn't have made much of a difference because his content was going viral. He's a fucking Yemeni Houthi on boats, right? So that's one thing. Another thing, I think this guy, I think he's a hypocrite because the way he was giving veterans so much empathy, but then now he's going on these like tangents about terrorist this, terrorist that, terrorist this. I mean, if you go into Iraq or Afghanistan and you ask them if you think American soldiers are terrorists, they're probably going to tell you yes, because they killed hundreds of thousands of them. We literally said Iraq had WMDs and weapons of mass destruction. It was all lies that the Pentagon and Bush fabricated. So I just feel like there's two things here. Either he's really just ignorant and doesn't know what he's talking about and there's room for improvement in education, or he's just honestly really stupid and really emboldened and very comfortable. It's one or the other.
In a way, it's like presenting people like Sneeko or Andrew Tate, who I've made videos on in the past. It's like if I promote them or talk about them on my channel, it's usually with a very objective view. It's usually with a very careful view where obviously if they promote bad ideologies, right, like hatred or bigotry, it's about sitting there and deconstructing it with actual facts and logic instead of, sitting down and kind of, hype beasting it to the point where you're normalizing it to a whole bunch of communities, right? And these are things that, again, no matter which side of the political spectrum you fall onto, I would imagine political content creators would be a bit more careful than even average YouTubers. If you got people like me who are just engineers and computer scientists that know better and know how to actually handle these facts, then these people are complete buffoons that shouldn't be operating in this field of content in the first place.
Let me take this segment to really explain how great I am and how great of a political commentator I would be, even though my political commentary this whole entire fucking video has been complete and utter ass and bullshit. And let me just nitpick shit that I don't know anything about and make it sound like I know what I'm talking about because I'm clearly the best and I know everything. That was the vibe.
Basically was out there posting the executions we will carry out on all Zionists in this situation. Now, one could sit down and probably say, yeah, he's probably talking about, just Zionists, not Jews in specific. But, looking into this person and the Houthi movement and the group in particular, the idea of anti-Zionism is also conflated with like anti-Semitism in this situation as well. It's just more hateful rhetoric that is being constantly pushed down anyone's feed. I think hate from any angle is bad. But this guy is not necessarily any innocent, party.
That's actually kind of crazy to say that. You know what I mean? Zionism is the belief of occupation. It's a very extremist viewpoint and it's rooted in racism and it literally has nothing to do with Judaism. Zionists conflate Zionism with Judaism, but there are millions of Jewish people who are mobilizing against the state of Israel because they're saying that you cannot commit genocide in my name.
This entire conversation is fucking idiotic. It's not a Jewish person. He said, why am I held accountable for some random fucking...
Because you platformed him. How fucking hard is that? You're the one that put him on your channel unapologetically and then memed with him about One Piece. Didn't ask him one single critical question. That's you. You did that. I'm criticizing you. You're not accountable for him. You're accountable for yourself.
Now, honestly, that's probably the best way to put it. Thank you, Ethan Klein, for saying it like that. And at the end of the day, it kind of almost harkens back to, again, hey, listen, if you're going to put somebody on your channel, you really should be able to counter them on their terrible beliefs. What's even fucking wild is when discussing this person in a very recent interview with Asmongold, like when they were talking about why Asmongold had his, wild takes. This is what Hasan had to say about that pirate. Watch this.
Wait, I'm sorry. How are you going to praise Ethan Klein? Brother, ew! We don't claim Ethan Klein out here, babe. Ethan Klein is crashing out hard. And he's really racist towards Middle Eastern people and Muslims.
I talked to a teenager from Yemen, okay, who everyone called, myself included, called Timothy Charlemagne or Chalamet.
Is that the One Piece one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now this kid is like, I think he was like 19 at the time when I talked to him, which means that for most of his life he has withstood genocide, right?
Sure.
Like he is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like talking to fucking Anne Frank, basically.
Oh, yeah. You know, where's that part of Anne Frank's diary when she was also raiding ships? Like, these are things where, again, yes, in one way, Hasan is kind of like this weird hyperbolic individual where, like, he'll, you know, he has, like, kind of a point. Both these people are young. They've seen death and destruction their entire life. And you can almost empathize with somebody who is doing a bad thing, is part of a terrible movement, is part of a terrible group that is actually committing crimes. And you can understand why they do it because of the, you know, world that they've lived in. But then to compare it to like Anne Frank, who, you know, again, is a pacifist in comparison, is just insane shit.
Now, do I believe in that comparison? No, I don't. It's not a comparison I would personally make because I think that every single political event has its own people and it's not necessarily fair to compare any of them. You know what I mean? I personally refrain from comparing political events from each other unless I'm giving steep explanation for why I'm doing that. But beyond that, I think he's really just looking for things to be mad at this point. That's really what I think it is. And I think he's very biased in his political viewpoints. I mean, like, I'm not hearing anything that's genuinely he's not giving political commentary out of nuance. He's giving political commentary out of pure hate that he has for Hasan and general online leftists. And like, that's fine. That can be your personal opinion, but I don't think this is really fair commentary whatsoever.
What's insane to me is like, look, people like Frogan, people like Asmongold, I would say that they're pretty stupid in understanding these situations. I'm stupid. Hasan, however, is not. This guy knows better, yet he just purposefully goes and obfuscates things like this. It's insane. Now, again, I don't want to jump and make this like a super political video because, again, I'm not equipped to even discuss this kind of stuff, but I am somebody that has basically been seeing a lot of this, like, you know, insane side of the internet effectively take over and become so normalized. Now, in the situation, you know, like I've said before, and I've been clipped a few times, and, you know, even when I stream, you know, videos do get uploaded of my takes on situations that I feel like I need to clarify. I'm not somebody that is afraid to say that genocide is wrong. I think that there is an actual case of, you know, genocide, and there's an actual case of attack that goes towards the Palestinian people.
Wait, he said, I'm not the type of person to not say that genocide is wrong. Why does he want praise for that? I don't know anyone that would come on the internet and say genocide is right. I mean, what kind of a disclaimer was that?
Now, at the same time, these are situations that involve, you know, a group of people, Muslims and Jews, that have effectively been at each other's throats for not just decades, but hundreds of years. It's why when I talk about these situations in a nuanced conflict, I say that, listen, you are talking about hundreds of years of like just institutional dislike between each other. If you've ever grown up Muslim, and I have, then you know that there is a serious culture of anti-Semitism, you know, in amongst the most conservative of Muslim circles. Just as you will know that there is a serious amount of Islamophobia in the most right-wing of Jewish circles. These are two groups of people that literally are just fighting each other. And it's not going to change until like the youth grow up and realize that this kind of hatred towards each other doesn't really meld well. And when it comes to people dying in a conflict zone like Gaza right now, there is literally nothing that I feel other than sadness for men, women, and children needlessly dying for no reason. It's why that, you know, time and time again, I donate as much as I can to aid, you know, even going, you know, like tens of thousands of dollars just to make sure that people who need medical assistance, and I vet my charities the best that I can to assist people in really shitty situations.
My guy, I grew up Muslim, okay? I have never encountered people who are anti-Semitic within my Muslim circles. Now, if you and your family have been anti-Semitic towards Jewish people in your Muslim circles, please speak for yourself. When you take religion to an extreme extent, it becomes problematic. We see it with evangelical Christians. We see it with Zionism. Although Zion, you can be anything. You can be Christian Zionist, you can be Jewish Zionist, but it's still considered to be extremist belief. But then also you see that with Muslims too, with like someone like Osama bin Laden. You cannot sit here and say that, well, both sides have this issue, therefore when the youth grow older, they're all just gonna fucking kumbaya because they're realizing it's not a thing. The youth are not just gonna grow up in kumbaya when they're literally taught fascist beliefs. Zionist belief is fascism. If you teach a child fascism, they're gonna grow up to more than likely be a fascist. He's not really getting it. Like I said, I don't know if it's stupidity, I don't know if it's ignorance, I don't know if it's his ego thinking it's really, everything he's saying is really good and he feels confident uploading it when he really shouldn't. I don't know what it is here, but I mean, I just don't think this video should have been made. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, this is a really bad video. I know I keep repeating myself, but like, holy shit, it keeps getting worse.
Situations. I don't make it a big deal to talk about it because I don't think donating money should be constantly promoted in the sense that, you know, are you really doing it to help people, or are you doing it to make yourself look better in the eyes of the world? But it's the tiniest thing that I can do in order to make sure that, you know, maybe somebody who needs medical assistance in a part of the world where they literally can, you know, literally it is one of the most like sought after needs, can get some attention. I don't want to kind of make any more of this kind of content covering these kind of people. This will probably be the last time that I...
Thank God this is going to be your last video. My God, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I honestly think you're doing the world a service. Thank you. This was the best way he could have ended this video because this was just horrendous.
I ever want to aim making this kind of content or discussing these kind of things. But I think it's an important discussion to have. No matter where you stand on these situations, you can call me a fence sitter or like, you know, fucking centrist or whatever the hell. But I really do think that no matter what side you're on, no matter what your beliefs are, any hateful rhetoric like this shouldn't be tolerated by anybody on the platform. It really shouldn't. Because if you want to talk about dividing people and keeping hate alive, it's literally this rhetoric that keeps us going. It's this kind of negativity on the internet and this kind of negativity that people like, I think Hasan, Frogan, and, you know, Sneeko and all these people promote that I really think should be avoided. This kind of doomer stuff.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? He didn't mention all the foul shit Destiny says online. He didn't mention any of the foul shit Ethan Klein says online. He didn't really mention the other things that Asmongold said as well. He literally made this whole entire video attacking mostly Middle Eastern and Muslim people and making it about a whole monologue about how we need to all fucking kumbaya and love each other. I mean, listen, I think when people make political videos and then they end it with the kumbaya bullshit, I think they really just don't know anything about human history or politics or how politics works. Because if we were all gonna kumbaya out at the end and all just become best buds and fucking pass a bowl around, okay, we wouldn't have half the issues we had in the world right now. And if you're gonna be talking about how Frogan and Hasan are spreading all this hate, why didn't you play the whole entire Asmongold clip? Why didn't you go on a tangent about that with your little basement dweller video game? So, you know, you want to sit here and talk about babble, truly, about all these things when you yourself are a part of the problem, my guy. You really are, because you cannot sit here and, for the most part, attack Middle Eastern and Muslim people and then end it on some kumbaya bullshit.
It's not that the internet has become more hateful. It's that a lot of this hateful rhetoric that, you know, people are promoting on the platforms, it used to be something that you would see on like a random message board or some fringe website on the internet. But to see the kind of clips that we saw today exist on the front page of Twitch, Reddit, most of the mainstream social media platforms, it might be what's contributing to the worst humanity is kind of seeing. You know, I uninstalled Twitter and left it because of how weird it got on the platform, and it's probably been the best for my mental health. And, you know, to see on Twitch the kind of rhetoric being promoted that is from the other opposite political end, you know, when you're talking about service operators getting PTSD, when you're talking about promoting hateful terrorist music videos to like random individuals, these are things that probably should exist in clown world, but they exist in actual reality. I'm sure that I'm probably going to have a pretty divisive comment section going down into this video, and I'm kind of interested in reading it. But to going forward, this is my last time I really want to make content, you know, ever covering this kind of stuff.
I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was him really speaking from the heart. All I got was that he's never going to upload videos like this, and I think that's a service to all of society. With that being said, I am going to dislike this video very publicly. This video was horseshit and it was ass. I am a hater. You know, some of you may say that I'm being a hater on this video. I am. I'm proud to hate on this video. This video was fucking ass and I will hate on it all day, okay? I think I lost a couple of brain cells watching that video. I hated it. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was probably... I've watched a lot of hateable videos, and I think I hated that video the most out of all the videos that I've watched, including Piers Morgan, so that's a lot. Thanks for coming into my YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment for more videos like that, and I'll see you next time.